Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
We're about to unpack one of the most intriguing and high-stakes sectors out there, urban air mobility. Today, we're focusing on a company you've asked us about, really digging into the question, is Archer Aviation a good time to buy now? We're talking about Archer Aviation, a name that's, well, truly at the forefront of electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOLs as they're known. It's currently trading around $10.20. Now, that price clearly reflects its incredible growth potential, but, also the significant risks. These are inherent in any early stage aerospace tech company. So let's get into it. But actually, before we truly fly into this deep dive, if you're enjoying getting these insights, please do hit that subscribe button, maybe leave us a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you really want to support what we do, perhaps consider buying us a coffee. It genuinely helps fuel these deep dives.
Well, the question about Archer Aviation really pushes us to consider more than just a simple stock price. It's about assessing a company that aims to be a cornerstone of a potentially revolutionary new industry. We need to evaluate both its current operational status and, I suppose, the more speculative elements that underpin its future value. It demands a very balanced exploration.
Absolutely. So let's begin with the fundamentals then. What exactly is Archer Aviation? We know it's an eVTOL developer, but as a pre-revenue company, what does its current financial state actually look like? I mean, how do they stay afloat when they're not yet selling anything commercially?
You've hit on the core challenge there. Archer Aviation is squarely in the pre-revenue development stage. That means, at present, they aren't generating income from commercial or defense lines. Zero revenue in Q1 2025. Looking at their Q1 figures, they reported an operating loss of $93.3 million and a net loss of $93.4 million. Now, that might sound concerning, but here's the crucial insight for a company at this particular stage. That net loss actually represents a 52.85% improvement from the prior year.
An improvement, even though it's still a loss.
Precisely. It tells us they're burning cash more efficiently, managing expenses better. That's a powerful, positive signal for an early-stage company. And on the earnings per share front, they reported negative $0.17. This notably beat analyst estimates of negative $0.28 by about 38%. So while still negative, they are indeed on a better trajectory than perhaps anticipated.
Okay, that distinction is incredibly important. It's not about profit yet, but showing efficiency, progress towards that goal. But even with improved losses, how stable are they financially? You mentioned burning cash. Do they have enough to last? And what's their debt situation like?
They actually boast a remarkably strong balance sheet and substantial liquidity. This is vital for navigating the long development cycle in aerospace. They recently completed an $850 million capital raise. This was just in June 2025. This brings their pro forma liquidity, basically their total available cash, assuming that raise was fully accounted for, to approximately $2 billion.
$2 billion. Okay, that's significant.
It is. And this funding is strategically allocated. It's for developing commercial capabilities, setting up infrastructure for their Launch Edition program, supporting their U.S. commercial launch, including that upcoming 2028 Olympics partnership we might talk about, and advancing their AI-based aviation software. As of March 31st, 2025, they held $1.03 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Their total debt stands at a very manageable $78.3 million. And their debt-to-equity ratio is quite low at 6.3%, indicating conservative leverage.
Low debt is good. So what does that mean in terms of runway? How long can they keep going?
At their current burn rate, the speed they're spending cash, they have a cash runway of approximately 2.8 years. This provides a significant buffer for continued development and, crucially, certification without an immediate need for more capital right now.
That's a pretty solid financial runway for a company in their position.
Yeah.
But ultimately, their success hinges on the product itself, doesn't it? Tell us about the Midnight aircraft. What makes it unique? How does it stack up against potential competitors?
The Midnight aircraft is Archer's flagship. It's meticulously designed for urban air mobility. It's configured to comfortably carry 4 passengers plus a pilot. Its range is optimized for those efficient urban trips, spanning approximately 20 to 50 miles, and it cruises at a speed of 150 mph. One of its most compelling advantages, especially for city environments, is its incredibly low noise level. It operates at 45 dBA at cruising altitude.
45 dBA, how quiet is that really?
To put that in perspective, it's about 100 times quieter than conventional helicopters. Imagine going from the roar of a helicopter overhead to something more like the hum of a quiet dishwasher. That's the kind of noise reduction we're talking about. It's a potential game changer for public acceptance and integration into cities.
Wow, 100 times quieter. That's genuinely astounding. That noise reduction certainly sounds like a key differentiator. And it leads me to wonder, how are they building out the rest of their strategic picture around this aircraft? Their partnerships must be absolutely critical here, right?
They are fundamental. These aren't just agreements. They are pillars for commercial validation and scaling up operations. If we consider the larger ecosystem, these partnerships provide strong commercial validation and essential manufacturing support. They have a significant agreement with United Airlines, which includes a substantial $1 billion aircraft order. That's a very tangible financial commitment.
$1 billion from United. Okay.
Then there's their partnership with Stellantis for manufacturing. This leverages Stellantis' automotive production expertise, crucial for scaling eVTOL production efficiently and, importantly, cost-effectively. And finally, they have established defense capabilities through ACHR Defense in partnership with Anduril. This opens up another potential revenue stream and diversifies their market exposure a bit.
These partnerships certainly paint a promising picture, but, for a company still so far from actual revenue, how much of this strong foundation is truly solidified? How do you even begin to measure the worth of a company that isn't selling anything yet? What are analysts saying? What does their current market cap tell us about expectations?
You've highlighted the central challenge with these pre-revenue companies. Traditional valuation metrics like price to earnings or price to sales ratios, well, they simply aren't applicable. No earnings, no revenue yet. So the company's valuation, currently a market capitalization of $5.614 billion, with an enterprise value around $4.6 billion after you adjust for cash, it reflects significant future growth expectations. And, of course, its early mover advantage in the eVTOL market. So it's all about the future potential baked in. Primarily, analysts are indeed optimistic, projecting revenue growth of 58.1% per annum once commercial operations truly begin. However, it's really important to note the stock exhibits high volatility. It has a beta at 3.13. Think of beta as how much a stock tends to swing compared to the overall market. A 3.13 means Archer's stock price can move more than 3 times as much as the broader market on any given day. Makes it quite a ride.
More than 3 times the market swings.
Okay, that's a good way to frame the volatility. So beyond the financial projections and the analyst optimism, what are some of the big headlines they've made recently? Things that demonstrate real-world progress, operational momentum.
They've definitely made some significant strides lately, generating some buzz. A major one is their partnership with the LA 2028 Olympic Games. ACHR was named the official air taxi provider. That's huge for brand exposure and commercial validation. It's expected to showcase the Midnight aircraft for VIP and fan transportation across Los Angeles venues. Big spotlight.
The Olympics, right. That's a massive stage. What else?
On the international front, they announced their third Launch Edition partnership in Indonesia, expanding their global footprint. They've also joined a 5-country certification alliance. This includes the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. This is crucial. It's designed to streamline regulatory approval processes across these nations, hopefully paving the way for faster global adoption. That international collaboration sounds brilliant for navigating complex regulatory landscapes. And speaking of regulation, how is their progress with the FAA certification here in the U.S.? That seems like the ultimate hurdle for actually getting these aircraft in the air commercially.
Regulatory progress is indeed paramount. It's the gatekeeper to commercial operation, and it's a multifaceted process. ACHR has achieved several significant FAA certification milestones. Each serves a different purpose. For example, they received their Part 135 Air Carrier Certificate back in June 2024. This specific certification is what allows them to actually operate as a commercial airline.
Okay, so Part 135 lets them run the airline service.
Correct. They also received their Part 141 Pilot Training Academy certification in February 2025. This enables them to train their own pilots to meet the strict standards required. They had previously obtained their Part 145 maintenance certificate, which means they can perform their own aircraft maintenance, very important for operations. And their Part 142 certification application, relating to flight training programs, is currently underway. These aren't just bureaucratic checkboxes. They are crucial steps towards proving their operational readiness and safety standards. It paves the way for commercial launch. It's a testament to the immense oversight involved.
It sounds like they're navigating an incredibly complex pathway, ticking those boxes. So, given all this progress, what's the general sentiment from Wall Street? What are the analysts saying about ACHR?
Wall Street generally maintains a strongly bullish sentiment on ACHR. There are, I believe, 9 analysts currently covering the stock. Their consensus rating is a strong buy. The average price target among these analysts is $11.94, though there's a range spanning from $4.50 on the low end to a pretty optimistic $18 on the high end.
$11.94 average target.
Mhm.
So based on the current price, around $10.20, that suggests some upside.
It suggests an upside potential of about 17.1% to that average target, yes. And we've seen recent analyst actions reflecting this. H.C. Wainwright raised their price target to $18. Cantor Fitzgerald reiterated an overweight rating specifically after successful piloted test flights. This indicates that operational milestones are directly translating into positive analyst reevaluations.
That's a lot of confidence from the analyst community. Okay, looking to the future then. What should you, our listener, be watching for if you're considering this company? What are the short-term and maybe the longer-term catalysts that could significantly impact Archer's trajectory?
Good question. For the next 12 months, key short-term catalysts include their Q2 2025 earnings, expected around August 14th. We're also anticipating their first piloted transition flight that's moving from vertical lift to forward flight in the coming weeks. That's a big technical step. Manufacturing ramp-up is critical. They're targeting production of 2 aircraft per month by the end of 2025 at their Georgia facility. Additionally, those early commercial operations planned in Abu Dhabi will be an important real-world test and showcase.
Okay, earnings, flight tests, manufacturing, Abu Dhabi. What about longer term, say 2026 to 2028?
Looking further out, the critical milestone is the FAA type certification for U.S. commercial operations. That's the big one, the ultimate regulatory approval. The LA 2028 Olympics operations, as we mentioned, will provide a high-profile demonstration. They also plan a significant manufacturing scale-up, targeting 650 aircraft annually by 2030. That's ambitious. And then broader international market entry through their certification alliance countries.
So on one hand, we have this incredible potential, a clear roadmap with major milestones. But let's flip to the other side of the coin. What are the major hurdles or dangers? What are the significant risk factors investors need to be keenly aware of with Archer Aviation?
The risks are substantial. Let's be clear about that. As with any early-stage high-tech company pioneering a new market, company-specific risks include, first, significant regulatory uncertainty. Potential delays in that FAA certification could drastically impact their timeline and, consequently, their funding needs. There's also inherent technology risk. eVTOL tech is still emerging. Its commercial viability at scale is largely unproven. They also have very high capital requirements. Ongoing funding needs for manufacturing for certification. This could lead to further shareholder dilution down the line or increased debt. And of course, there's intense competition. Joby Aviation, Lilium, others, all vying for market share in this nascent space.
Right, the competition is definitely heating up. What about broader market risks?
On the market and sector side, there's the high volatility we discussed. The beta of 3.13 means extreme price sensitivity. Its pre-revenue status makes its valuation highly speculative, heavily dependent on future projections coming true. Changes in the regulatory environment, even beyond initial certification, could impact their business model. And as a high-growth stock, it's naturally sensitive to macroeconomic factors. Think interest rate changes, market downturns. They can hit stocks like this harder.
That's a lot to consider on the risk side, too. Okay, let's bring it all together then. Given everything we've uncovered about Archer Aviation, its financials, its tech, partnerships, regulatory progress, and those significant risks, what does this all mean for the core question? Is Archer Aviation a good time to buy now?
Based on our analysis, we would give Archer Aviation an overall rating of, say, 7 out of 10. The rationale is that it presents a compelling long-term growth opportunity in this emerging eVTOL market. This is strongly supported by its strategic partnerships, what appears to be an adequate funding runway for now, and notable regulatory progress. However, its pre-revenue status, the high volatility, and the inherent execution risks turning plans into reality certainly warrant a moderate rating, despite that strong growth potential.
A 7 out of 10. So who is this kind of investment best suited for?
It is best suited for long-term investors, typically those with a 3 to 5 year investment horizon, maybe even longer. This long-term view is essential because the company's value really hinges on successful execution over several years, certification, manufacturing, launch. For these long-term investors, we see an optimal entry price range, perhaps between $8.50 and $9.50.
$8.50, $9.50. Why that specific range?
The core insight there is that for a highly volatile, high-growth stock like Archer, aiming for these dips which often occur near technical support levels like the 100-day moving average, currently around $8.79, helps establish a position with a more favorable risk-to-reward ratio. It cushions you against some of the short-term market noise and offers potentially better value. For those considering this approach, a suggested stop loss could be placed around $7.50 to limit potential downside. And take profit targets might be set at $13 conservatively or perhaps $16 more optimistically, depending on risk tolerance.
Okay, that makes sense for long-term players. What about short-term traders?
Well, for short-term traders, we typically wouldn't recommend a stock with this level of volatility and speculative nature. It's very risky. But for those who might still consider a highly speculative short-term play, a possible strategy could involve looking for a strong volume breakout, a significant price move up on high trading volume, maybe above $10.50. But always managing risk with a tight stop loss, say $9.75, and setting quick profit targets, maybe $12, $13, fully understanding the high inherent risk involved.
Got it. So for anyone considering this, whether long-term or maybe speculatively short-term, what are the absolute critical monitoring points, things they must keep an eye on moving forward?
Key monitoring points include, number one, ongoing updates on that FAA certification timeline. Any delays are significant. Number two, their manufacturing progress in hitting those production milestones. Are they building planes? Three, further partnership developments and crucially growth in their actual order book beyond United. Four, how they position themselves competitively against Joby, Lilium, and others as the market evolves. And five, critically, their cash burn rate and any news about future funding requirements. Will they need more money sooner than expected? It's vital to remember the entire investment thesis heavily depends on successful execution hitting those certification, manufacturing, and commercial launch targets over the next 2 to 3 years.
It's truly a fascinating position they're in, really balancing the exciting, almost science fiction potential of revolutionizing urban transport with the very real, grounded risks of pioneering new technology and an entirely new market. Understanding all these facets, the good and the bad, is absolutely key to making an informed decision about a company like ACHR Aviation.
Precisely. As we consider Archer's journey, we're not just looking at a potential stock investment. We're witnessing the very early stages, perhaps, of a fundamental shift in how we might move through our cities. The question isn't just, will they succeed commercially, but maybe what could urban life genuinely look like if they or companies like them actually do? It's a speculative endeavor, certainly, but one with potentially profound implications for the future of transportation, something to think about.